Hey, welcome everybody to Videography Academy. I've got a great guest today. His name is George Edmondson. He is a freelance video creator. He's been a full-time freelancer for 4 years and started his business with a cheap DSLR and iMovie. And now he's been able to grow into a consistent six-figure income and is in the early stages of building a production company. He is a self-proclaimed huge dork. I don't agree, but self-proclaimed, like I said. George, welcome to the show. How's it going?
What's up, dude? How are you?
Doing well. I just want to start the show, first of all, by saying George is a very, very patient and kind man. We recorded, or Henry actually recorded the original episode in which the audio on George's side did not come through and did not record. But George was able to be willing to re-record this episode. And on top of that, we rescheduled with him like 4 or 5 times. Henry's sick today, so I'm coming off the bench and doing this interview also. And George, I just want to thank you on behalf of the Videography Academy podcast of how patient you are and how generous you are with your time.
Man, not a problem. I learned patience. I'll tell you, I've got 4 kids, and so if you don't have patience, you're not going to last very long as a parent. So it's all good, man. It actually it let me get my studio done where I moved in since the last time we recorded. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah. Where are you located? And tell us more about that move into the studio.
Yeah, man. So I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. That's it's about an hour south of Birmingham, Alabama. But I started my business like you said, with just a cheap Nikon little camera and editing on iMovie. And then, here we are a little over 4 years later. I finally got to move into a space in the downtown area. So it's a lot of fun, man. We renovated an old vape shop. So it looks totally different now from when I moved in. But that whole process took probably about 10 weeks or so to get it all done. So it's been a long process, but we're finally in here and I'm finally able to start creating stuff. I'm excited.
Well, congrats on that. It's amazing. So let's back up a little bit. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about your background of how you got into video?
Yeah, man. So I started in video. I guess I became passionate about it when I was a teenager. About 13, 14 years old, I would make skateboarding videos with my friends. And, then there was no thought behind it. It was just fun. It was just something that I was passionate about. We liked documenting, all our tricks and all of our fails. There were a lot more fails than there were lands for sure. But so that's kind of where – I guess that's where I started and where my passion grew for video. Fast forward several years later, went to college, ended up being a college dropout, was in a band, did some touring, had a lot of experience with audio recording just from being a musician. And I ended up getting, just a super boring kind of corporate job. And the company that I was with knew that I was into, making videos for fun of my family and audio recording. And they asked me if I could do some editing for them because they had shot a video with their, tiny little camcorder, but they didn't know how to put it together. And so they were like, hey, can you edit this video together? We'll pay you. And so I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I'm going to get paid to do something that I'm doing for fun. And they ended up paying me more for the video than they paid me for a week of my actual job. And so then my wife and I, we kind of looked at the check together and we're like, you know what? I think I might be able to make a career out of this. And so it was like a lightning bulb just turned on. I had never even thought to try to monetize something that I was so passionate about. It just never occurred to me because I had no technical knowledge whatsoever when I started. I mean, when I say that, I literally mean I called Canon to ask how to adjust shutter speed on the camera. I had no clue 4 years ago what I was doing. All I knew is that I liked telling stories. I liked capturing moments, and I knew how to edit. And so the whole technical side of that just came from time and experience and making a lot of mistakes and a lot of YouTube tutorials, podcasts, stuff like that. So yeah, man, that's kind of the short version of how I got started.
Amazing. So, how about the transition from going full time? So, were you doing some freelance jobs while you were working your corporate job? Like, how was that like for you?
Okay, so I'm a risk taker. Some people, so I guess risk, you can, it's all depends on where you are in life. But I'll tell you this, I'm very transparent about, about money and about talking about stuff like that. So when, when the job, when the company that I worked for had me do that video, we were completely broke. We were behind on bills all the time. We were in debt. And we were really struggling financially. And so we decided, screw it. We're freaking broke anyway. I'm just gonna quit and I'm gonna go and try and do this full time. Um, that's not always the best decision to make, but we were one of those, we were at a moment, my wife and I, where we decided that she wanted to stay home with the kids, and whatever we had to do to make that possible, that's what we were going to do. And so she is the one that pushed me to leave. Now with that said, I did wait for 6 months, so I kind of got a little bit of knowledge under my belt, but we made the decision in like June or something to that we were going to leave, and I went and put in a 6 month notice to my boss, and they were extremely supportive. It was kind of crazy. They were like, "Hey, you did a great video job for this video, and we want you to be happy." So I put a 6 month notice in. And while I was working, I did, try to get some money saved up, get a better camera, bought Final Cut Pro, which is, an editing program, and started learning that. But we made the decision that we were doing it no matter what. And then January 1st came, and it had been a 6 months, and we took the plunge and, missed a lot of bills the first year. But luckily, man, we just kept grinding and kept sales, kept trying to sell, and kept trying to get out there, and eventually now we've made it an actual business, and I'm sitting in my new studio, so I'm excited about how it's turned out so far.
Amazing, amazing. So yeah, I think that you prefaced that really great by saying that everyone has different risk tolerance levels, and
Yeah.
just quitting the job and going all in is for some people it's good for them, some not. So really just trying to figure out what your own risk tolerance level is and what
Yeah.
your circumstances are. How many? Just curious though, how many kids did you have at the time when you did
So
quit?
when I quit, I had three.
All right.
And
So
yeah,
you're a
man,
risk taker. Okay.
bro, we were so broke it didn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
at that point it was like whatever, like we're not paying our bills anyway. We might as well try it and see what happens. So it's one of those things, man, where when I was at the job, I didn't have any time to even try to devote to selling and turning this into a real business. A lot of reasons why, I was working, 16 hours a day, a lot of times at this company, and it was not even paying our bills then. So, I would definitely recommend in most situations, most circumstances, you are going to want to kind of do this on the side for a little while, but we're risk takers. We wanted to go all in. We dived in head first, and with no safety net, and we just did it. And my wife is probably the reason why we were able to actually be successful, because she's the one that would get me up every day and kick my butt out the door until I made a sale. So
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think that it's interesting that you guys were so broke already that you kind of had nothing to lose. Your back goes against the wall already, and you just decided to
right.
you made that decision. It can be more difficult for someone that has the golden handcuffs. Let's say they're making like $100,000 a year to leave their job. That might be a difference. So yeah, every situation is a little bit different. So I love I love these stories of the human spirit and just the drive to make things work. So thanks for sharing that. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just want to share. Can you share a little bit about the beginning? So how did you get that first sale? Like the first few sales, how did you make it happen? What are some tangible things that you did in the beginning?
Yeah, man. So the first thing that I did was I reached out to people that I already knew. So whenever you're trying to sell, a service or a product, it's going to be a lot easier to reach out to family and friends and just kind of say, hey, I'm starting my business. I'm new. Um, I'm really cheap right now because I'm trying to grow my portfolio. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? I think that my first official um paid gig outside of when I left was actually a wedding that I did for a girl that worked for the company that I had left. And so that right there is a correlation to, reach out to people that you already know. She knew that I was going to do a good job because I had done the video for the company that she worked for. And it was great. And I charged her $500 for the wedding, which is, some people were cringing right now over that rate. And some people were saying, that's more than I charge now. But regardless, it was proof that we were going to be okay. It was proof that we can make this work. Just treat it one step at a time, one sale at a time, and then you get referrals from the people that you do weddings for. You get referrals from companies. Um, I have some sales background, so that helped me a lot. I sold life insurance for a while, which is really hard product to sell. But I was fortunate enough to go through some sales classes and training. So, man, I would walk around downtown Tuscaloosa. It's crazy. I'd walk around the areas that I now have an office in and had a backpack and a DSLR and knocking on doors. Hey, here's my business card that I just printed out on my home computer. I'm trying to get my business going, and let me do a video for you. $100 for a video, just anything. Let me do anything for you. And slowly but surely, man, people started letting me do videos, and I was able to kind of build my portfolio up from there. And I'd say, all right, now my videos are $200. And then, okay, now my videos are 500. Now I'm going to charge 1,000. Now I'm at 2,500 day rate. And you just kind of use each opportunity as a stepping stone to the next one.
Yes, let's dive a little bit more into sales because sometimes I know there's people out there listening they hear the word sales and they cringe or they get fearful. It's a very natural thing. Sales, and some people have a misconception about sales. Sales equals sliminess and pushing something on someone that doesn't want anything. So you had some sales background. So what are some tips, just tangible sales tips as well that you can give to our listeners today?
All right, so whenever you're looking into sales, you're trying to sell video services, the first thing that you're going to want to do is definitely do research on the company or the people that you're kind of going after, and you want to make sure that you can define a problem that they may have, that you're the solution to their problem. I think a lot of times people get caught up in, I just have to make the sale to make money. And so they're just going to sell something that people don't need. Man, that's a lot harder to do. Don't waste your time on trying to hit people up that don't need your service. So that's one thing that will cut out 50% of the struggles that you might be having. Don't go after the wrong people, man. Go after folks that you can tell they might go after people that do not have a strong social media presence, because go after people that do not have a strong social media presence, because if they don't have a social media presence, you can be the knight in shining armor that comes in and says, hey, like, let's sit down, let's formulate a plan. Let me create a series of videos for you that you can post over an amount of time, and let's see where your numbers are on social media. Let's see the type of engagement that you start getting. If it's a fit, we'll do more. And if not, you only spent a little bit of time with us, a little bit of money, and we'll be on our way. And you already know, if they don't have a social media presence, if they can be consistent with your product or your service, however you want to sell it, they're going to get engagement. It's going to happen. So be a problem solver. Don't try to sell yourself. try to fix problems and you're going to sell a whole lot easier.
Love it, love it. So, what are some mistakes that you made in the beginning of your freelance videography journey?
I think some of the mistakes I made in the beginning were assuming that I knew it all, and being being the guy that's like, you know what, I can do this. I don't need help from anyone. I'm gonna go out there and I'm just gonna grind and make it happen. Um, when I took a step back and I started to think about how I need to listen to some of these other people online, some of these YouTube tutorials I was watching, and not be so arrogant to think that I can just be the one that knows it all. And you start applying some of that constructive criticism that you see online, man, it makes a big difference. So the mistake that I made was getting offended or upset if someone would say, "Oh, that shot is, the lighting is terrible," or we can't, the audio is bad, something like that. Um, Once I stopped doing that, and once I started to just embrace the constructive criticism, the negative and the negative and the positive, things got a lot better. My videos started looking better. My messaging was better. One of the things that I would try to do early on was I would always try to create like a build up in the beginning of every video. And I started getting a lot of people saying people were shutting these videos down after 10 or 15 seconds because, man, especially when you're doing social media, it's like people want the information and they want to be done. And so when I started starting videos off just right off the bat, they start with the information that we want to start talking about. Don't do this big long dramatic build up. I started getting better feedback, started making more sales. So man, it's all a learning process, but listen to other people, listen to people that have been doing this longer than you. Listen to people that are younger than you, because I'm telling you, man, these younger kids, they're the ones, they're growing up and they're absorbing all this content. And they're going to be the ones that are paying our bills one day. So yeah, listen to them and embrace it. Embrace aspect ratios. Embrace the vertical video. Embrace the square crop. Don't get so hung up in all this old, 16:9. Everything has to be widescreen. Embrace it all, and you're going to start making a lot more money. I promise you.
How have your projects evolved through the years? So you mentioned you did a $500 video when you first started. That was one of your first sales. So what are the types of projects you used to do, and how has that evolved as you've gotten more success in your business?
Yeah, man. So there's been some evolution, and then some things have stayed pretty consistent. So when I started, my goal all along was to make content for online consumption, social media, stuff like that. And really, it's still that way. I'm not doing things for television, or I'm not doing feature films or anything like that. So all of that has stayed consistent. I guess it's just that I've gotten better and I've put better people around me. I've built like sort of a better team to help me with projects, and so I still I create small about me, like 2 to 3 minute about us videos for people to put on their websites, all the way down to 4 or 5 second ads that go before a YouTube clip. So yeah, that's what's going on. Some of the cool projects I have going on right now. I've got a couple different documentary series going on, but one is for I'm in Alabama. One is for a company out in Washington State, and we're doing a year-long documentary series. And to date, that has been my biggest overall sale. And so yeah, so documentary series, YouTube videos, Facebook videos, Instagram stories. I've got a client right now that we just shot a bunch of stuff, and it's literally just fruit spinning around, and we're gonna make videos out of it because they sell fruit. So yeah, man, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I like that though. The idea of hey, you're not doing videos for TV, so focus on the social media. And
Yeah.
it's only social media is only going to get more and more popular with video. You know, that's the
Yep.
future. So, what are some just tips on, let's say, for instance, just like a social media video or some of those YouTube ad videos that you're doing? To for some of the listeners out there, like the way to shoot it and just some of the technical aspects, or what you want to bring to maybe the beginning of the video to make sure people do stay and keep watching it.
Yeah, so the key to a video like that is get the information in there within 5 seconds. You know, don't build. So that's what I was kind of circling back to what I was saying earlier. Don't create this big, long, dramatic build up like a feature film. You cannot look at it that way because people are scrolling on their phones mindlessly. They're not paying attention to what they're seeing in their timeline. They're not paying attention to these ads on YouTube that they see. They're going to click skip ad. So you might as well get that information within that first 5 seconds if that's the video that you're making. Um, so just start it out with a bang, man. Start it out with something that's flashy and gonna grab them. Get the information in there in some text. That's another thing. Utilize text for a lot of these videos because most of the time people are not gonna click it and the audio is not gonna be. They're not even gonna pay attention to the audio. So those are some of the things that some guys don't want to embrace, and I do feel like that's just gonna continue to be the way that things are for a while. So yeah, that's a couple things right there.
I'm hearing innovate. So don't be like Blockbuster, be like Netflix, right? Don't get
Absolutely,
cocky,
man.
right? So don't be like the
Yeah,
taxi cab drivers. I mean, no offense to them, but Uber took them out, right? So
taking them out, man.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, it's weird this hang up on aspect ratios. I'm just gonna keep mentioning that because I guarantee that there are guys out there, guys or girls out there, listening to this that might have that mindset of don't deal with vertical stuff. The fact of the matter is that that's fine if you don't want to do it, but you're leaving money on the table. Um, I would much rather embrace it and think of artistic ways to utilize vertical video, square crops, all of that stuff. Utilize a way to make it work for you and your style.
Do you offer like social media marketing supplementary services, or do you have strategic partnerships around your area for marketing? How do you deal with that?
Absolutely. So the guy that works for me right now, his girlfriend does social media marketing for the University of Alabama, which is a huge college right down the road from me. Actually, I could probably throw a baseball and hit their campus.
Roll Tide, right?
Roll Tide, yeah. So that's one of the reasons I chose the location that I'm on, because I can see the football stadium from my office. So but she knows what she's doing, and she also does freelance marketing and stuff on the side. So anytime that I can, I try to push people to use her, because she's going to turn right around and use me for the content that they're going to be marketing and creating. So I do have that going on right now. And then I've got some other guys that I'll use for photography. I do photography as well, but it's not my focus. My focus is video. And so I kind of just send them. I'm right beside a photography studio actually, and that was all intentional as well. Yeah, which I mean, I don't know. You want to talk about that?
No, I actually want to go a different direction. I want to talk a little bit about money, because I know that you're very transparent about your numbers. You also have a Facebook group called Video Creators That Care About Money. And so I guess just diving into the money topic, why do you feel like some people, videographers and not videographers, have trouble, talking about money, being transparent, and understanding that that's a focal point in your business that must happen?
I think that people don't want to talk about money because we're a very judgmental society. And we can look at someone and say, you only make $20,000 a year, so that means you're not a good person or you're not smart or whatever. And so people are sometimes embarrassed to talk about money if they don't make a lot. Sometimes people are embarrassed to talk about money that do make a lot. And the way I look at it, man, I was raised poor. Not to go too in depth, but I was homeless for a while. Um, and so I look at money as a tool. I don't look at money as anything but that. And so if you have a lot of money, all that means is you have more opportunities to do something and to help people in the long run. And if you don't have a lot of money, that just means you need to figure out a way to either get more or hey, stay there if you're happy where you are. It really it just I don't know, man. Money just doesn't matter to me, so it's kind of weird that I have a group that's called video creators that care about making money, but I think I think people I think what I want ultimately I want people to know about that group is I want people to make money so they have opportunities to help other people. Whether that is financially or emotionally or whatever. When you have money, let's just face it, that's the world we live in. That it's you have money, you've got tools to better serve others. So that's what it is. That's why I just don't really give a crap. I'll just talk about it.
Yeah, I love it. It's so true, though. I mean, we are in a very judgmental society, and people will look down on people that don't have money, look down on people that do have money. That's another thing that I've been trying not to do anymore because some of the misconceptions I've had is, oh, people that have money are evil or they're greedy.
Right.
And of course, there's some people that have money that are greedy. There's some people that don't have money that are greedy and not very
Exactly.
good people. Let's
Right.
not make it a black or white situation. But you are absolutely right. Money is just a tool. I've been realizing that, I sometimes in the past have chased money also, and that has not led me on a path that's congruent with who I am as a person. And now I'm kind of shifting my mentality to money is a tool. It does offer my ability to help people. It gives me my own independence and freedom as well. So it's a topic that has to be addressed. And so I love that
Yeah,
you're
man.
transparent around it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think if more people would be transparent, um, more people would kind of come to that same conclusion, and we wouldn't treat it the way that we do. Money is not a negative thing. It's not necessarily a positive thing either. Like we said, man, it's just a tool. So if we live in a society that's going to be dependent on money, then play the game, make money, uh, talk about it with people, share it with people. Just be a good person. Use it as a tool, and that's it. Don't let money define who you are. I guess is what the biggest overall thing. Don't let it define you, and don't judge other people just because they have it or don't have it.
So George, I know that you actually put up a post in your Facebook group, Video Creators That Care About Money, and you wanted to ask some of the community questions and answer them on this podcast episode. So why don't you just go ahead and fire away?
Yeah, dude. So all right, let's see. So 9 weeks ago, we actually when we planned on doing the podcast the first time, I asked a bunch of questions and we had some really good ones. So let's go in here and see. Let's see.
We'll call this like the mini lightning round. Not really lightning round.
Mini lightning round.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. This one's from Aaron Beasley. Aaron asks, when is the point you give up on a client? I find myself frustrated sometimes, but not wanting to burn a bridge. At what point do you cut working together out of the picture? When would you give up on a client?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I've always gone with what's called a red rope policy with clients. So first part of that is like when you're working with a client, I would say if you have any like intuitive red flags, like they're very demanding in the beginning or they're just trying to like cut your prices, that's the first indicator that might be a problem. So just kind of nipping in the bud before you actually bring them on to client. I know it's hard when you're hungry for business and you're a little bit desperate. It's the beginning, but that'll save you a lot of time and stress later on. For actually working with a troubled client, I think it just comes down to communication. saying it in a respectful manner, right? And just making sure that you're upfront and letting them know, like, I don't think this is working out. Just like any breakup, right? You know, you don't want to like be disrespectful, but you want to be communicative, and you want to be professional, because that is your business name and your own, you know, personal name as well. And you just want to be a good person also. So that would be my couple tips. How about you, George?
No, yeah, I totally agree. So I've had a client that I unfortunately had to give up on. I guess a little bit of a backstory. We had done a video that I gave a set rate, and they prepaid, which should have honestly been a red flag. One thing that I never do now, I never take full payment up front. I get half my money up front to get the project started, and half on the back end once they've finalized, because I have added to that back end 50% whenever things start to go downhill or the client starts getting super demanding. And that normally is a great way to get them to calm down and not be so demanding, because they see their bill is on that back end is just going to get a lot bigger. But they in my contract, it states that they have up to 3 edit revisions. And I think by the time we had gotten to our 9th edit revision, it was kind of obvious that I needed to let this one go. So I was very, like you said, I was very respectful, but I just said, hey, I don't think that, you know, after this edit revision, unless we can agree on a new price and basically treat it like a new project, we're going to have to discontinue working together, just so that we can make sure that you're getting the kind of content that you want. And they kind of calmed down after that, and we didn't have any more revisions. And I don't work with the client anymore. And that was based on my own, just knowing that I was wasting a lot of time. The good thing is I didn't burn a bridge, because they have come back to me for quotes on other jobs. I'll go ahead and tell you, though, the quotes are a lot bigger now.
Yeah, for sure.
And therefore we have not worked together, but I know that if we do, it'll be worth our time.
Awesome.
All right, let's see. So, all right, so we've got another question from James Owen, and he's asking balance of family life and the momentum of growing your business. So, the studio that I'm sitting in right now is directly correlated to this question. I was working from home for 4 years. I was more separated from my family having my office in my house than I am now, because when you are working, you know, until 5 or whatever you decide your cutoff time is going to be, which we decided it's going to be 5 p.m. No matter what, unless we've got a shoot that's going to go into the evening. If I'm editing and doing stuff from the house, we're stopping at 5. It's worked out really well. But if I stop at 5 and I walk out into my house and my kids are running up to me and wanting to play, and I'm still so in work mode, it's hard for me to ever break away from that. And so there was a lot of reasons why we got the office, but one of the big reasons was I needed a way to separate family life and my business. We were at a position where financially we were able to do it, and we're going to be able to pay, you know, the lease or whatever per month on the office space. I know some people can't do that, so my suggestion there would be try your best to get separated from family life. If you have to go to a coffee shop and do your editing, do something away from the house, because just that simple 15-minute drive home, you're going to kind of be able to refocus and detox from the day. And then when you get home, you know, dad is a whole lot happier to see the kids. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's one way that's one thing that we've done to kind of balance that out. Well, I guess 2 things. We set a hard stop on the day of 5 p.m. And I don't do any more work after that, only on the rarest of occasions. And then even if I do, I wait until everyone's in bed and I do it on my own time. Everyone else is asleep, and I'm the one that's going to suffer in the morning when I have to wake up and be super tired. But set a hard stop. No matter what, you have to stop at that time. Or your family life is probably gonna suffer. And I'm saying that because that was what began to happen with us. I'm always on my phone checking emails, responding to clients, and it was starting to become an issue. So we got the office and things are a whole lot better. All right, I think we're going to do one more question here. Justin Marr asks, how do you deal with clients that are slow to respond after they've expressed interest in hiring you for their needs? So what you have to do is you have to stay consistent and persistent. If they've expressed a desire to work with you in the past, there's a good reason why they did so. And you just have to be consistent, man. You send them an email once a week, check in on them, give them a call, and there's probably a good reason why they're not responding. So I had one company that was responding to me very regularly, and then all of a sudden they stopped. Weeks went by, no responses. So then I ended up setting up a new email thread with someone else different in the company. And they told me that the person that I was communicating with had left the company. And so there you go. That's why they're not responding. The company is still interested in doing business with me. And so you just have to stay consistent, man. There's a reason. Other clients, I mean, it could be something personal. There could be a death in the family. And so they're dealing with that. We're humans. We have real life going on outside of work. So that's it, man. Stay consistent, stay persistent. That's how you deal with them until they say, absolutely not, we're not working with you, do not communicate with me again. Keep it up. Don't quit. If you ever stop, your business is going to start to fail. Don't stop, reaching out to people and setting meetings and it doesn't matter, man. Like this podcast is a great example. We had some issues with the recording the last time. It's been a 9-week process. We've rescheduled several times, but there was consistency on both sides of the table. And here we are, and we finally got to get it done. And so, and now we created something. We made a podcast. I just hope this one records.
It better, or else I'm gonna punch a hole in the wall or something. No. But let me chime in from what you said about the follow-up process. So I think you're absolutely right. You definitely want to stay consistent in your follow-up. You want to be consistent and persistent without being annoying and pushy. So there's a balance there also. One tip you can do when it comes to sales follow-ups as well is that when you send the proposal, in that email that you send the proposal or text, whatever, however you send it, you actually set a future time and you put it on the calendar to actually set an additional appointment. So, hey, here's the proposal, John. I have time, and you be very intentional about how you word this is, hey, I have time Thursday at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. or I have time Friday at 10 a.m. Which would work best for you to review this proposal? And that can prevent a lot of the worst thing about sales is when people go dark and they fall off the face of the earth. At least give me a no, right? Because if that person gives you a no, then you can move on to the next person or next proposal. The worst thing is when they're like floating in Narnia, whatever you want to call it, and you don't know where they are. That just wastes time. And it also makes you have to follow up if they're not even interested at all. So those are just a few of the things that I've learned in sales process. Yeah,
absolutely, man. Always set the next meeting. So I had a meeting yesterday with a friend of mine. He does iOS development and like back-end software development. And he wanted to get a meeting with my client, who I'm shooting a safety video for. And so I had him come and be an actor. I did air quotations. He was an actor in the video, and that got his foot in the door to talk to some guys, and try to set up, sometimes to meet with them. And I was very proud of him because he does not have any sales experience, and so I was listening in on the meeting, and right before we were about to leave, I felt like I wanted to smack him in the back of the head because it seemed like he was not going to define a time. He was not going to set a time to meet with them again. And I was thinking that's a no-no. You can't do that. And then he said, all right, well, I've got some availability next week. Does Thursday at 10 a.m. work for you? And this is as we're walking out the door. Oh, yeah, Thursday at 10 a.m. does work for me. Let's put it on our calendars. He set the meeting, and now he and his partner have a meeting next week with them. So, yeah, absolutely. Schedule another time, schedule a meeting, schedule a call. Put it in your phone if they're being a little wishy-washy and they're saying, oh, I don't know yet. We're going to have to check on a few things. You're going to hear that a lot. Put it in your calendar to remind you to follow up with them because you might forget. And then you just left a sale probably sitting on the table.
So what are you excited about that you're working on right now that you can share with our listeners?
Let me think. I guess I'm most excited about my studio that's about to be done because it's gonna give me it is giving me more time to be creative and less time on the road having to drive out to clients and stuff. There's a guy right now driving down as we speak actually to come down, and we're gonna start creating content for the group for video creators that care about making money. We've got a website as well that is going to host all of the content, but he's coming down from Wisconsin or Milwaukee, somewhere like that. So man, it's a long drive for him, but he is equally as passionate about creating content that's going to help people grow. It's going to help people become financially independent and ultimately help them be in a position where they can help other people. They can create jobs because they're just covered up in work, and that's what we want for everyone, man. So that's probably what I'm most excited about, and what's hilarious is I'm not making any money on it. But I don't know. I've always been into I've always loved teaching. I'm a big fan of education. And I'm an even bigger fan of free online education where if someone wants to know something, they can just go search for it. What we noticed there was a lack of online as far as free goes is how to run a business based on what you're passionate about, based on art. A lot of video creators, we consider ourselves artists. And so what we're trying to do is create content that's going to teach people how to make video, how to do what you're passionate about, and also make a living. So yeah, we're creating that content starting tomorrow, and that's probably what I'm most excited about.
Okay. Do you have a URL yet for that?
Yeah, man, dude. Video creators that care about making money.com.
All right, and I'll drop that in the links as well. That you're mentioning. So where can our listeners find out more about you? How can they join the Facebook group? Just tell us anything that you want to just share with our listeners right now.
Yeah, dude. So it's just search video creators that care about making money on Facebook. You should find it. There's a couple really simple questions that you need to answer. If you don't answer them, we won't approve you. And they're very basic. Like anyone can answer them. But it's just our way of kind of making sure that, riffraff doesn't get into the group that's just going to spam us. And it's worked out pretty well. So far, everyone has been, we've only had like a couple posts flagged. So we're really trying to make sure that we're that our focus is to help people that want to be helped. So we don't care that, there's like 1,000 and some change people in the group. And we're very happy with that number. It's not like some other groups have 90,000, 70,000 people. We don't really care. We know that we've got 1,000 folks in the group that care about making money and that care about helping people and care about learning. So that's how you find us. My business is called Seed Creative. So you can just search on, YouTube if you want to. I vlog and do all that fun stuff. So If you want to go find me on YouTube, Seed Creative, and I'll talk a lot more about the group and where our next steps are for it as well.
Perfect. Well, George, I should just call you the most patient man in the world, but really, really appreciate you coming on the show today, sharing your knowledge, your journey. And yeah, for anyone that's listening, just join the Facebook group, Video Creators That Care About Money. Go answer the questions, get in there. It's an amazing group. Henry and I are part of that group as well. And just support George whenever you can. But thank you so much, George. Appreciate your time and your knowledge.